I still remember that day like it was yesterday. The sting of humiliation, the feeling of everyone's eyes on me. It all started at what was supposed to be a celebratory company dinner. My colleague, let's call her Clara, had always been competitive, but I never imagined she'd stoop so low. I had just given a presentation on a project I'd poured my heart and soul into for months. The clients were thrilled, and my boss, Mr. Harrison, was beaming. He stood up to give a toast, congratulating me on the hard work and the successful outcome. I felt on top of the world. But that feeling didn't last long. As everyone clapped, Clara stood up, a fake smile plastered on her face. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," she announced, her voice dripping with venom. "While Mark did an okay job pulling the slides together, we should all know that the core concept and most of the crucial data came from my initial research. It's a shame it wasn't properly credited." The room went silent. I was stunned, completely blindsided. I looked around, and all I could see were confused, pitying faces. I tried to speak, to defend myself, but the words caught in my throat. I had done all the work, from the initial concept to the final data analysis. Clara had been on the team, yes, but her contribution was minimal at best. She had access to the files, but that was it. Mr. Harrison looked uncomfortable. "Clara, this isn't the time or place," he said, trying to diffuse the situation. But the damage was done. Clara had planted a seed of doubt. She went on, adding little details that made her story sound plausible, twisting facts to paint me as a glory hog who stole her work. I just sat there, frozen, as my moment of triumph turned into a public shaming. The rest of the dinner was a blur. People avoided my gaze, and the atmosphere was thick with awkwardness. I went home that night feeling defeated and utterly betrayed. The next few days at work were hell. Whispers followed me down the hallway. Colleagues who were once friendly now kept their distance. Clara, on the other hand, walked around like she owned the place, soaking up the undeserved sympathy. I knew I couldn't let her get away with it. This wasn't just about a project anymore. It was about my reputation and my integrity. I didn't want to sink to her level, but I knew I had to prove my innocence. So I started digging. I spent that weekend combing through every email, every file version, and every server log related to the project. It was tedious, but my anger fueled me. I needed concrete, undeniable proof. And then I found it. The smoking gun. I discovered the server's version history for the project folder. It was a digital breadcrumb trail that tracked every single change, who made it, and when. The log showed my account creating the initial project files, developing the concepts, and adding all the key data points over several months. What about Clara's activity? The log showed she had accessed the files, but only to view them. She hadn't made a single significant contribution. She hadn't added any data, written any text, or changed any part of the core strategy. Her only contributions were a few minor grammatical corrections she made a week before the presentation, likely to create a digital footprint she could later use to back up her lies. But that wasn't all. I kept digging and found a chain of emails between Clara and a former employee who now worked for our biggest competitor. In these emails, Clara was complaining about her position and, alarmingly, sharing confidential details about our project strategy, my strategy. She wasn't just trying to steal my credit. She was actively leaking sensitive company information. My heart pounded in my chest. This was far bigger than I had imagined. Her actions weren't just unethical. They were a serious breach of her contract and put our company at risk. I carefully compiled everything: the server logs, the file version histories, the incriminating emails. I created a clear timeline that showed everything, leaving no room for doubt. I had my proof. Now, I just needed the right moment to use it. The opportunity came a week later. Mr. Harrison called a mandatory all-hands meeting for the entire department. The official reason was to discuss the next quarter strategy, but I knew the undercurrent of gossip about me and Clara was the real reason he wanted everyone in one room. He wanted to clear the air. As the meeting began, the tension was palpable. Everyone was stealing glances at me and Clara. She sat near the front, looking smug and confident. I sat quietly in the back, my heart racing, clutching the USB drive in my pocket that held all my evidence. After discussing some business updates, Mr. Harrison finally addressed the elephant in the room. "I want to talk about teamwork and integrity," he began, looking around the room. "There have been some concerns raised about project credit, and I want to ensure we always maintain a culture of honesty and proper attribution." This was Clara's cue. She raised her hand, feigning reluctance. "Mr. Harrison," she said, her voice filled with fake sincerity. "I really didn't want to make this a big deal, but since you brought it up, I feel it's important for the team to know the truth about the Vision project. It's only fair that contributions are recognized." She looked directly at me, a triumphant smirk on her face. This was my moment. Before she could continue her charade, I stood up. "You're absolutely right, Clara," I said, my voice calm and steady. "It is important that everyone knows the truth. And it's also important that we back up claims with facts." All eyes turned to me. I walked to the front of the room. "Mr. Harrison, with your permission, I'd like to present some data that will clear this up once and for all." He nodded, looking intrigued. I plugged my USB drive into the conference room computer and projected my screen for everyone to see. First, I brought up the server logs. I walked the entire room through the project's timeline from day one. I showed the creation date of every key document, all under my username. I showed the hundreds of edits, additions, and refinements I made over the months. The room was silent as the digital proof unfolded on the screen. Then, I showed Clara's activity log. The screen displayed her name next to a handful of viewed document entries and a couple of minor edits to fix typos. The contrast was stark. I could see the expressions on my colleagues' faces shifting from suspicion to shock. Clara's face had gone pale. Her confident smirk was gone, replaced by a look of pure panic. "As you can see," I said, addressing the room, "the claim that the core concepts and data came from Clara is demonstrably false. The digital record is crystal clear." I paused, letting the information sink in. Then, I delivered the final blow. But unfortunately, it gets worse. My investigation into this false claim uncovered something far more serious. I clicked to the next slide, revealing the emails between Clara and the employee at our competitor. Gasps rippled through the room. The emails were right there, in black and white, for everyone to see. Her betrayal wasn't just against me. It was against the entire company. She was a corporate spy, and I had just exposed her in front of everyone. Clara shot up from her chair. "This is an invasion of my privacy." "You can't show that," she stammered, her voice shaking. Mr. Harrison stood up, his face grim. "Clara, sit down," he commanded, his voice cold as ice. He looked from the screen to her, his disappointment and anger evident. "My office. Now." He then looked at me and said, "Mark, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Your integrity is commendable." Clara was escorted out of the meeting by HR. She couldn't even look at me. The rest of the meeting was canceled. As people started to file out, several colleagues came up to me, apologizing for doubting me. The whispers had stopped. The truth was out, and it had set me free. Clara was fired that same day. I not only got my reputation back, but I also earned the respect of my boss and my peers. It taught me a valuable lesson. When someone tries to tear you down with lies, the best revenge isn't sinking to their level. It's fighting back with undeniable, cold, hard truth. And let me tell you, the truth has never felt so satisfying. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever been in a situation like this, know that you're not alone. Stay strong and always stand up for yourself. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.